Easy. We're good to go. Zelinda,
Hi,
welcome.
thanks.
Would you mind giving us a small introduction about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, sure. I'm Zelinda. I'm the owner of Cosmetics, Anaesthetics, and Canda Beauty Distributions. I'm from Taupo, Taupo. Do you want to start that again? That was really bad, eh? You can't
No,
do
we'll
that
just
on
keep
camera.
rolling.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and I've been in business about 7 years now. I started Canda about a year and a half ago. Just wanted to stay in the same field but branch out and make some more income and a different sort of perspective of the industry.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So, as you said just before, in business 7 years.
Yeah.
Started at 21.
Yeah.
What was that journey like? And before we get too deep into it, I should probably get you a cocktail.
Yeah, fabulous.
Could we please? You wanted a margarita?
A margarita, yeah. It's my
Margaritas,
go-to.
please, my bro. So we got a pineapple and chili margarita on the way.
Fabulous.
But yeah, so 7 years in business.
Yeah.
Tell us about the journey. What kicked off the inspiration to start a business at 21?
It's a really long story, so I'll keep it like really short.
We've got heaps of time.
I had like a really bad experience with an employer, like a really long court hearing that's sort of like still going on 7 years later.
Oof.
Yeah, it was quite bad. So I was really skeptical about ever going and working for anyone else and sort of putting my all into something and sort of that way. So I thought, hey, well, I'm good enough. I've got a lot of experience. So I kind of just started at home, and then I wanted to grow pretty much almost immediately. So branched out, went and located a premises, got into there, and it's definitely been hard, like the biggest learning curve ever. I've done like a diploma in business management, and I think even something like that doesn't prepare you for what business entails. So yeah, it's been a lot of growing and a lot of learning, but I think the faster you learn from your mistakes, the better off you'll be in the long run, for sure.
Yeah, totally. So, do you require any specific qualifications, or is it more experience based?
Yeah, absolutely qualifications.
Yeah.
There's some people that can come into the industry and sort of gain an apprenticeship or something like that, but after hiring people over the years, I think experience is definitely a bit of a necessity if you want to keep things running at like a really high standard. Unless you have the time and the capacity to be training somebody,
Yeah.
then yeah, I think qualifications and experience is a big hand up for
And
you.
so, how long does it take to get qualified?
About 2 years, so not
Okay.
too long. Yeah, there's like different qualifications you can get into now. For the past year, I've gone on the board for the NZQA for
Okay.
the beauty therapy diploma and stuff like that. So they're introducing a lot of things where people can go and get micro credentials now to sort of get their foot in the door, you know, if they don't have the time to be studying full time.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's going to be funny. The industry's definitely evolving, but yeah, qualifications over everything for sure.
Marvelous. And so, do the qualification actually? Before we do that, cheers.
Cheers. I'm excited to try this. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Honestly, anyone that knows me, like I'm through and through a margarita person. Like
Okay.
anywhere I go, we'll be like out having lunch or something, and I'm having a margarita. So this is really good.
Do you have any specific favorite type of margarita, or just a classic?
It's a classic margarita, but I can taste the pineapple. And it's nice.
Yeah.
It's good.
Well, it's really hard to get like. There's such a large proportion of lime juice
Yeah.
in a margarita, and so to make that shelf stable for a long period of time
Yeah.
is difficult.
Yeah, I can
And so,
imagine.
with the ice, because we do like clarified cocktails, we take pineapple juice and clarify it and then acidify it with citric and malic acid, which naturally occur in lemons and
Yeah, I
limes.
use it on people's faces all the time.
You do?
Citric and malic.
Okay.
Kojic.
Interesting.
Yeah,
so what does
it's
that
a great
do to the
skin
skin?
lightener.
Okay, so it
Gets
lightens
rid of
the skin.
pigmentation.
Okay.
Imagine if it did it from the inside. You could just drink margs and have a facial peel from the inside out.
We can try.
Put it to the test.
Oh, no shit.
Mhm.
That's super, super interesting. So
Yeah.
is that like in a sort of face cream?
It's more like a peel.
Okay.
So like those things will be like highly concentrated, put together. Obviously a little bit different. I'm guessing extracted in the way it is in a
Yeah, so
cocktail,
this is
maybe.
more like natural extract and it's in a powder form.
Yeah.
And so we'll chuck it in and then we cook it and
Yeah.
mix it all together with a
Yeah.
bit of sugar and everything
This
like
is
that
liquid,
to balance
yeah.
it. Okay.
Yeah.
And all right, so because my knowledge in the beauty therapy space
Is
is
limited?
very, very limited. I can't tell you the last time I was at a beautician. So masks, they can be wet and dry. Like in terms of
Most of
like,
the
are they the ones that peel off and on, or is
Oh
it
yeah,
more
I've
like
seen
a
those
cream
like
that you
hydro
just
jelly
wipe off?
sort of things. You see them all over TikTok and stuff
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah.
A good mask, yeah, will be something that you remove, and it'll be like liquid or gel or
Okay.
yeah, something like that.
Interesting. And I guess there's like, once again, limited knowledge, a whole bunch of different natural extracts that
Yeah.
will do different
100%, and
things.
like natural extracts are so much more active than something that's not. So that's really interesting too. That nature actually provides everything we need to look beautiful.
Perfect. So would that mean that there's not a lot of like artificial chemicals and everything?
There can be, like for sure. A lot of ranges out there can vary, between 10 to 20% of like preservatives and stuff like that.
Okay.
Ideally, like a product range would be something like 90 to 99% active with like 1% of a preservative so that it's efficient enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess the less nowadays people are very concerned about chemicals on their skin and
Definitely.
things like
Yeah.
that, so
I've
they
definitely
don't want to.
noticed a rise in that.
Yeah. So what are customers looking for more?
I think a lot of people have always and will always want something that's like then, there, and now. Really fast results for the lowest cost and everything like that. So it's kind of hard to like change people's mind frames on looking at it from a point of view of like skin health. Like the
Okay.
healthier your skin is, the better it's going to look. So if you go and throw heaps of like acid peels at it or something like that, it might look good for say like 3 or 4 months, and then you're sort of like plateauing again because you're not actually doing anything you need to like.
Okay.
I like to call the skin like a factory, right? And every worker's got their little job.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if every worker's doing that job in an efficient way because it's being fed the right ingredients, then your results are going to come from that rather than like slapping something on and.
Okay. So what are the biggest
Looking
things
good
that
short-term,
contribute
long-term.
to like skin health? Because I guess you don't want it to be dry. It has to be hydrated.
Like circulation, lymphatic flow.
Okay.
Yeah. The biggest thing that I like to tell people is stop scrubbing your face. Like, a lot of people like
Okay.
use scrubs and stuff like that. Yeah, our skin naturally exfoliates. It naturally
Okay.
dissolves
Interesting.
on its own.
Yeah, I've got like this charcoal beaded
Yeah, no.
sort of face thing. No, wrong thing to
Yeah,
use.
no, and a lot of people do it like multiple times a week.
Yeah, every day.
You're like, yeah, no.
No.
Long term, it's not great. Like,
Okay.
you'll age faster. The skin can be
Interesting.
compromised. Like, we meant to have like a really nice oil and water flow on the skin that creates like a protective barrier, right? So as soon as that's compromised, like from scrubbing like that,
Okay,
the skin
so-
is like susceptible to faster aging, even things like dermatitis and psoriasis and stuff like that.
Okay, so is dermatitis something
Oxidants.
like eczema and things
Yeah,
like that?
sort of. Like you kind of group them into the same family, but yeah,
Okay.
they're all a bit different.
Interesting. So what should I be doing? Water.
Yeah, like if you're not into like doing things on your skin, then like eating foods that like contain certain essential fatty acids is like the best thing to do. For sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are
Salmon, broccoli,
salmon and broccoli?
blueberries, anything
Okay.
with like vitamin B12, omega
Okay.
fatty acids.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm learning
But
stuff.
the cheapest way to do it, if you come and see me, you'll be like your credit card will be maxed out.
yeah. Well, it was funny because I checked out your website
Yeah.
after we were chatting, and I was like, cosmetic tattooing and waxing and laser
Yeah.
shit and everything, and it was well, yeah, I shouldn't say shit, but it was so foreign to me
Oh yeah,
that
totally.
I was like, what does this mean? And I was looking at some of the costs, and I was like, whoa, I need to really care about my skin to be jumping into this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and try and like talk to like the younger generation a lot, just about like minimal, looking after your skin and things like that, and then they'll never have to come and see someone like me. Essentially, you know?
And like you say, it's all about what your body consumes.
100%. Yeah, but sometimes people have like a predisposed skin condition that's genetic. Like a lot of time acne is actually 80% genetic.
Yeah. Okay.
So you have to come and see a skin professional for something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, like, we've known each other since school,
Yeah.
and so I can think of some kids that we went to school with, and they just had acne
Yeah, for sure.
all over it.
Yeah.
And then, I think about growing up. Puberty probably has a lot to do with that,
Oh,
and brings a lot as hormones
massive
flow.
influence. Yeah, for sure.
And I suffered from acne but not quite as bad as what we saw
Yeah,
other
I
people.
think we all do at like some point, and there's like different grades of it.
Yeah. So it's interesting to find out that it's all relatively genetic.
Yeah,
It's just part of
highly
you.
genetic. Yeah, for sure.
Ah, interesting,
Yeah.
because I mean, yeah, skin is an organ.
The largest one.
The largest one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what sort of piqued the curiosity to get into that as a career?
Oh, honestly, I think I left school when I was about 15. Like, definitely wasn't having a good time.
Yeah.
And I sort of
NCEA?
like, none.
None.
Absolutely
And now
none.
you're on
and
the
do you
board.
know what? No NCA, and I'm 2 papers away from completing a psychology degree. So, you don't actually need, no, I'm joking, stay in school. But, yeah, there's a lot of things you can do after school anyway. But no NCA. Kind of fell into like a really bad group of people for like a year, and then after that I was like, you know what, this is not how I see my life, and I needed to just go and study something. Like, I had to remove myself and go and so I went and did beauty therapy at elite school in Hamilton, and I ended up like winning awards and represented for my class. And yeah, it's funny like how people always say to like continue at something you're good at, and then it will turn into your passion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you gotta love what you do.
Yeah, but like we were saying before, like it doesn't come without fuck ups. So like I didn't always was like pristinely great at what I do. So yeah.
Yeah. What did you find the most challenging to learn or grasp?
You know what? Like body waxing is definitely
Okay.
like a good old Brazilian or a Mancilian is definitely like the hardest thing to learn.
Yeah.
You do quite a few of those, not to hurt somebody, but
Yeah, I can imagine a manzillion would be quite interesting to do. A lot of loose
there's
skin.
a lot of parts.
Yeah.
Compared to a woman, there's a lot of parts, and there's a lot of skin you have to work with.
Yeah, and I guess you would also like. This is probably my ignorance in it, but like testicles, right?
Yeah.
A laser probably not the best to use,
Oh, no,
or is it only
100%.
surface?
Definitely can do laser.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. It's painful
Okay.
over that
yeah.
area.
Yeah,
People
because
have
it's little
said-
burns, isn't it? Like, how does laser work?
Oh, laser. So there's laser and then there's IPL. We use IPL, so it's like an intense pulse light. That's
Okay.
what it stands for. So it's basically like an energy that picks up on the hair color and coagulates the hair follicle and kills it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I think like light. So
There's different. Don't make me get too into this because it's really hard to remember. There's different wavelengths,
Okay.
nanometers, and these days machines have a setting where you push. This is their skin color. This is their skin type, and it set it up for you. But yeah, like 10 years ago, you would have had to like manually sort of calculate that.
okay, and
Yeah.
so it does determine on what type of light you're using compared to what the skin color is and hair color.
The energy that comes out, yeah.
Okay.
The kilojoules, I want to say.
Interesting, because I can imagine someone who's blonde and
Yeah,
like
it
has
won't
quite
work
fair
on-
hair.
yeah.
It won't work.
No, yeah.
Ah,
yeah. Just
interesting.
Yeah.
Unfortunate.
Unfortunately,
Yes.
super. Yeah.
You had to be a real hairy blonde.
Yeah, totally. There's nothing for you. I'm sorry.
That's waxing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the
absolutely. That's
painful
what you
way
can
to
do.
go.
Yeah.
And I know that there's like different types of waxing where it's just like you put in the lather and the wax on and ripping that off,
Are
and then
you
also
sure? I'm
the
sure. Are you
sheets.
sure you haven't been to a beautician?
I've
before?
never, but I've watched plenty of ads on TV where
Oh,
they're
yeah,
like, you know,
okay.
the Veet,
TV's great
whatever.
education.
yeah.
No, it's definitely not. But
I know I'm being
yeah,
marketed
there's
to.
definitely different types of waxing. One for thick hair, one for finer hair, and all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of my experience with waxing comes from my brother's stag do.
Oh god.
And we had a beautician come around and give him a super dark spray tan,
Yeah.
and we waxed random
Oh,
strips
the poor guy.
off his chest hair
I
and
mean, it would have
everything.
been like really put a lot of pain, eh?
It sucked
Especially
for
like
him.
a rookie doing some waxing on
Yeah.
you. Yeah, I can't.
And then
imagine
we,
it.
what else did we do? I think she had a special cream that you could wipe on the spray tan just after it was done that would remove it.
Oh yeah.
So we
okay.
could draw a picture on him.
Oh.
And yeah,
Love it.
it was the worst for him.
Yeah.
That's what you do on a stag do,
Oh,
right?
it's fun.
You
Yeah,
gotta
we've done a
embarrass
couple
them.
of stag do's and it's great. Yeah.
Oh, so you have stag do's
yeah,
roll
everyone's
through?
like has a little turn at waxing somebody, well the stag, and yeah, it's great. It's fun.
So he ends up like a naked mole rat at the end of it normally?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah,
If he
yeah.
can handle the whole yeah.
Oh, that's funny. You got to be a
That's
real
good.
tight group of lads
Yeah.
to be getting your
Oh,
kid off and
totally.
waxing each other's nuts.
I love it.
Have you had any clients that have like not been able to handle whatever treatment they're
Yeah.
getting?
You know, like one time I was actually tattooing someone's eyebrows.
Okay.
And this is back when something called microblading was really popular. So it's like a row of really tiny needles that can like make a blade.
Okay.
So you create hair stroke patterns with it, with me, and that you dip the ink, right?
Okay.
The noise that it makes is like a sort of scratching.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This girl, I sort of like managed to get through one eyebrow, and then she had just like a full-on panic attack.
Okay. So what is
and
the
left with one eyebrow.
yeah
tattooed on.
Phew. So the
know.
microblading is the tattooing of the eyebrow
Yeah,
on.
we don't do it anymore. Like, there's way more modern techniques to do it now, but yeah.
Okay, interesting.
And I never seen her again. So I don't know if she's like out there with like one eyebrow.
She's got one
or-
shaved off, so
I
you can see
don't know. I just don't know. So yeah,
Is that something that has to be constantly kept up with?
a little bit. Yeah.
Because
for sure.
I imagine, like,
You're not
tattoos
tattooing
naturally.
it permanently. Like
Okay.
with, like a body tattoos go a lot deeper.
Okay, so it's to do
thicker
on.
needles, darker ink.
Okay, so it has to do on terms of there's a few different factors on
Yeah.
how deep it gets into
Yeah,
the skin.
definitely. Yeah.
Okay, because I always imagine, like, tattoos naturally fade over time and get that little greenish
Yeah,
tinge
that's
to
what you
them.
don't want on the face.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
I can imagine someone's eyebrows look impeccable for the first week, and then they're out in the
Yeah.
sun all the time, and it starts to fade, and then they've got more like alien-looking
Yeah.
eyebrows with the
And
green
you do
tinge
say
to
them
them.
around. You
Is
do. You'll
that
notice it now that I've told you.
Is that the cheap way or the
And it's totally
the
the
old
cheap
school
way.
way? Okay.
It's totally the cheap way. Yeah. for
Someone's
sure.
doing a little stick and poke.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah, no good. No good at all.
No shit. Okay, so the cosmetic tattooing, is that pretty much just eyebrows?
Eyebrows, I like doing lips. I don't do eyeliner. It freaks me out, and I don't
Yeah.
like it either. So yeah.
I'd
But
be
yeah.
very scared getting in close to
Yeah.
someone's eyes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So lips, is that full?
Love the lip tattooing. Yeah, it's just called like a lip tint. It's like a sort of like blush that you get put on the lips. Creates a bit of border, makes the whole complexion of the face look different, looks more alive,
Okay.
youthful.
Can
Yeah,
you
it's
do
good.
different colours?
Yeah, you can do a variety of colours.
Oh,
yeah.
interesting. So
Yeah.
you could just have red lipstick.
You can do probably like up to like 30 colours.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so when you say it's not like permanent, how
That
long
is
does
a little bit more permanent.
Okay.
That'll last maybe like 5 to 8 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
5 to 8 years. That's
But like I've done it on myself, right? And
Okay.
you wouldn't think that I'm wearing like lipstick as such.
no, it hasn't got the faded green look to it.
Yeah. Thank God for that.
Ah, interesting. Interesting. So, after getting qualified, winning a few awards and things like that, you mentioned that you came back and you worked for someone that you didn't thoroughly enjoy working for.
Yeah, I had like a few. I had a few jobs, and this woman ended up like poaching me. It's not like on the news and everything.
Wow,
Ah,
I don't know if-
That's crazy.
this was.
Don't watch it. It
Yeah,
looked
well,
terrible on there. You
I
know,
was-
They do those like close-ups of like Zelinda Doria. It just looks so bad. I hated it.
That's crazy. Little
Yeah,
on
it was
Taupo, get the
terrible.
news story. And I probably, because I spent quite a bit of time out in New Zealand. I was in Melbourne
Yeah,
for 10 years,
yeah.
and so probably
Yeah,
completely
good on
missed
you.
all
You
of
missed
that.
out on all the drama.
Yeah, definitely.
Totally.
So you ventured out, did your own thing.
Yeah.
Did you kind of start doing all of the things that you offer, or did it start off
I
relatively
started
slow?
off just doing eyebrows mainly and eyelash extensions, which I now train people in. But
Okay.
that was sort of what I became known for, and all I really did. And then in order to expand, we started. But I was always qualified in everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it also takes a lot of money to especially do the skincare, the laser, the
Yeah, I imagine.
really advanced treatment sort of thing. So,
Yeah.
you had to save up and sort of build the business that way.
Because I guess they're kind of considered medical devices.
Yeah.
The laser and the tattoo guns and things like
Yeah.
this, especially when you're piercing the skin.
Yeah.
And so, medical equipment is always phenomenally expensive.
Ridiculously expensive. Yeah.
So yeah, you need a lot of cash in the bank to bankroll that baby.
Pretty much, and I didn't have that to start with, so yeah. No, it took me about 5 years to start getting like the IPL machine, the paramedical skin range in, and all the training as well for the staff costs a lot. So
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
imagine because of the expense of the machines being such a barrier to entry, there's not a lot of people in the country
Yeah.
that were offering a lot of it, and then even more limited amount of people offering training on how to do it.
yeah, 100%. That's it.
And so, as I assume the industry's growing and there's more of it available, has that made learning the trade per se more accessible?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I think in this industry now, like a lot of people have become like a bit influential in
Okay.
what they do.
Yeah.
And so you'll find those people are now training people and passing on the knowledge sort of thing, which
Yeah.
is so exciting. Like I must say that's probably my favorite part of both of my businesses is the teaching aspect of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So all right, you just mentioned two businesses.
Yeah.
So what's number two?
So I started Canda, which actually stands for Cosmetics and Anaesthetics.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About a year ago. So we import quite like high quality, high end beauty supplies for clinics and at home people and stuff like that are doing beauty treatments.
Okay.
And then I started training people as well for it. So that's been really exciting. I think so far we've done over 70 students.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
In 1 year.
In 1 year.
A year and a half? No, a year. Okay, I'll have to think about it, but it's like a year. Yeah, no, it's good. We do like Taupo, Auckland, 2 classes in Taupo, 2 classes in Auckland. Each class probably has like 10 to 15 people.
Okay. Yeah.
2 to 3 times a year.
And how long's a class?
It could be like 2 to 3 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
And then like online classroom work prior and post. Yeah.
And so, when you're teaching people that, and you say that there's, a bit of online, I guess that's theoretical work, writing down
absolutely.
all of the procedures and things like
Yeah.
that. Does that attribute to sort of NZQA?
I did it
Credits
all
or
by
something?
no, it absolutely doesn't. And to sort of get into NZQA, I think you'd have to have an establishment that comprised of like the entire certificate of someone
Okay.
doing like a 3 to 6 month in person. Yeah, and they're working on bringing out these micro credentials, but then again, I'm sort of against it because I feel like it's not preparing people for a job. Like I would never hire somebody that came to me and said, "Hey, I've got a certificate," and I don't know, eyebrows.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
You know, okay, maybe if I need like a receptionist for the summer, and if someone was really eager, you can spot that in people. But for like the vast majority who want to go around and get into the work, but it was a very big debate that was within sort of like the committee. And I don't think they listened to us at all, so I think it's coming. I think they just, wanted to rule out that we weren't going to exactly like protest against it or
Okay,
something.
yeah.
But they're definitely probably rolling it out. Yeah.
Okay, so whenever you hire staff, are you more looking for someone that already has some real world experience?
Or even like initiative. Like I always say, like initiative and attitude trumps qualifications any day.
Yeah.
But that's like a 1 in a million thing.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. And normally those people are self-employed and driven to do their own
Yeah, they're doing their own thing.
thing.
Yeah.
So
The people at the top of the food chain are always doing their own
Exactly.
thing. Interesting. And yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking about how is it very difficult to be training people and teaching them if you can kind of do it in a condensed course of like 2 to 3 days and things like that. I guess you'd see some just have a knack for it. And
You
they're
definitely do. Like you see some people have a total knack for it, and then afterwards you see some people that go on to actually pursue it. So what, like especially after that first course, I thought to myself, like obviously I think people that enroll themselves and want to learn more are seeking something else. Like just like when I decided, hey, I just need to go and learn something, right?
Yeah.
You're actually seeking like a path forward, okay? So mainly in these courses, I think the most important thing is giving someone like confidence, giving them like a broader perspective on opportunities that they can approach, and ultimately having them leave feeling like they can go on to do more.
Yeah.
Whatever that avenue might be for them. I want someone to look back in 10 years' time and they could become like a professional chef, and they did my eyelash course and they'll say, oh, because that lady made me feel so good about myself,
Yeah.
I did this,
Had the
1, 2,
confidence
3, and
to
4.
chase some of their dreams and goals
so
and things like that.
besides the techniques and everything like that, that's probably the main priority
Okay.
of it
yeah.
all.
Marvelous. So how many people have you got working for you now?
3.
3.
Yeah.
Nice. Tight knit crew.
It's summer.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 have just started. One's been with me quite a while. Fiona, she's amazing. But yeah, it's normally like a group of 2 to 3,
Yeah.
maximum 4. Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess that keeps like a company culture relatively
Oh,
tight.
absolutely.
It's all the girlfriends hanging out,
It
you know.
is. Yeah.
And then it gives you, I guess, once you work with them for a while, there's a trust that they have a good enough ability that when you bring on some new person that's
Yes.
perhaps a little less experienced, you know that if you're not in the office, they're going to be able to
Absolutely.
guide those
Yeah.
younger
Yeah.
minds in the right direction.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there something that people struggle with the most? Just kind of unanimously, this is always a difficult thing.
I think in general, probably sales and
Yes.
creating that customer relationship. I think when you're the person running the place, that's like top priority for you. But then again, like I've had staff that it is their top priority because they think so highly of their job and what they're providing people.
Yeah.
So yeah, but that's definitely
Have you found a difference? So you're doing like wholesale and retail
Yeah.
sales of beauty supplies.
Yeah.
Have you found that there has to be different approaches to if you're selling to a business or selling to a at-home sort of client?
sort of. The relationship building's still the same.
Yeah.
I feel like clients need a lot more looking after than like a whole.
Okay.
I definitely feel a lot more relaxed when I'm doing the wholesale side of things compared to
They're already professionals. They already know what they're
you
doing.
don't you're not exactly convincing, you're kind of just being like, hey, look, and they're like, oh yeah.
Yeah,
You
you're
know?
like, this has got kiwi
Yeah.
fruit and collagen in it, and they're like, we know all about
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
Cool, we'll just
Yeah.
grab that shit. Whereas, yeah, I guess you've got to sell to the general public.
Provide all the knowledge and like the simplest but most effective way possible.
Yeah. And I guess with every business, you know, there's always clients that have 300 questions for you
Yeah.
and only ever buy one face mask.
Yes.
And they
But that's
really,
okay.
they really wanted connection because they're seeking knowledge
Yeah, absolutely.
as opposed to the products.
Yeah.
Because then if they get the knowledge, they can go away and kind of do it themselves and know
Yeah.
what they're looking for and shop around a
Yeah.
little bit more.
Yeah, totally.
And so
Well, they're
there's-
skeptical.
Yeah,
Like,
okay.
I think our industry is like the biggest joke at the same time as being like the most professional thing you can do. Like, half
Okay.
the shit you see on TV or half the stuff that is like on the shelves. Like,
So what are the biggest lies? What
you
are...
know what? The biggest myth in this entire industry is sensitive skin.
Okay.
I know it sounds ridiculous, but so people go and create product lines and ranges for sensitive skin.
Yeah.
Essentially, what it's got in it is like nothing,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, it's just
Because that's
skin that
all
gets its
that-
feelings hurt. It's an emotional problem.
It's like, but it's and all it is, it's a barrier malfunction of the skin. So
Okay.
it comes back to like that skin health, right, and that body health and stuff like that. Yeah,
And so...
because they're essentially buying oil and water,
Yeah,
or like
okay.
a bit of like aloe vera juice or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a friend of mine, and she used to have a little bottle of stuff that she would mist on her face
Yeah,
to hydrate
nice.
it. And we
I
read
love that.
the bottle one day, and it just was water.
Yeah.
And she was just
pretty
spraying water,
much.
and I was like, how much did that cost? And she was like, $35.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a really
And it's
expensive
quite
bottle of water.
interesting because, like, legally, anything that's in like Countdown or dairies or like places like with a warehouse and things like that, they legally can't exceed a certain percentage of actives, and it's really low, something like
Okay.
17%.
Okay.
So, 82% of that is water,
Water.
or oil, or some sort of rose hydrosol or something.
Yep.
And then when you go to like a pharmacy, things like Estee Lauder and Clinique and things like that, I think they can't exceed something like 35%.
Okay.
So you're
okay.
still, then you're paying like top-notch prices for these high-end that are still really
70% water.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something you could essentially almost do like yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Or just not do it all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all right. So the beauty...
There's a lot of like marketing that's gone into that.
Well, that's
world.
exactly where I was going to go.
Yeah.
I was like, the beauty cosmetics marketing teams must be massive
Yeah, totally.
compared to the pharmaceutical team behind the scenes that's actually doing the research.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And
Which
so,
is a shame.
yeah, and it may be sexist of me to say this, but women are always the ones being marketed to the most, whether it be shoes
Yeah,
or
we're
makeup
higher
or
spenders, for
yeah,
sure.
they're the ones that do the most of the shopping. Guys, we're like, there's a razor.
Yeah.
That's all I need.
Yeah.
Or I know what kind of shoes or boots I like wearing, so I'm just gonna get them, and I don't give a fuck about what's on TV and things like this. Whereas women get marketed to a lot.
Yeah.
It's all about being beautiful and happy in your own skin and things like
Yeah.
this. And I guess there's a lot of like insecurities that
Yeah.
marketing teams want to target. Just like you say,
Like,
you know,
remember Proactive?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's a prime example.
okay.
I don't even think stuff like that's really allowed anymore.
No, well, because did they say was the chemical in that? Benzo peroxide or something?
Oh, yeah.
Which
I don't think
isn't
it was,
that like a
really...
bleach?
Yeah. Yeah. No, hydroxyquinone is it might be. I don't know. But,
Okay.
yeah.
Because I remember my brother had bad acne growing up, and he had some stuff like Proactive, but it was like a supermarket knockoff
Yeah.
version, and some of our like towels ended up with bleach spots all over them.
Yeah. Oh,
And
no.
it sparked the interest in like, what the fuck is causing that?
Just, oh, that's fucking terrible.
And it was just, yeah, like a
That is
bleach
so
chemical
bad.
that you would put on there, and bleach kills germs.
Yeah.
And the natural association was like acne is caused by germs and having dirty skin, so you want to
That
get
is
rid
so
of the
bad.
germs and things like that.
Yeah.
And so it's just
Oh,
terrible
shit.
for your skin.
Yeah, no, that's horrible. Yeah.
Interesting. And so when you look at things like sunblocks and things like that,
Well, do you remember that? Like that big scandal with like Banana Boat and the Cancer Society, and none of these sunscreens were actually
no, I had no idea.
to like legal standard of like,
Really?
yeah.
Huh.
Because there were like a big group of people, like kids and everything, that got like severely burnt one summer. This was maybe like 4 years ago now.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, and then I don't know who it was, maybe the EPA or something came in and forced all these products to get clinically tested.
Huh.
And I think something like 60% of them didn't actually protect you from the sun.
And it makes you like, it makes me feel a little bit scared about
Yeah,
putting
it's a joke.
anything on
It's so
because
bad.
shitload of chemicals.
Yeah.
And personally, I have never been a fan of sunscreen anyway, just because it made me feel oily and yuck.
Yeah.
And you put sunscreen on, you go to the beach, and then all the sand sticks to you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, this is fucking annoying, isn't it? You know.
Yeah.
And so I've never been a fan of sunscreen, and so I just had to cop getting burnt
Yeah.
all the time.
It's so bad.
Every
So
summer.
bad. Your skin cells are like, oh my god.
Every summer, red at one
It is
point
so
in
bad.
time.
You zinc. You might be like all white,
Okay.
but it'll be like, okay.
Zinc.
Or they have a product now that's like avocado based zinc.
Okay.
And it's like amazing.
I
you
always
know?
knew zinc
I don't
as,
even
like-
sell it. It's amazing.
Zinc, the only zinc I knew was like the little chapstick looking one, and like people would
Like
put it under
stripes
their
on your
eyes and
eyes.
stuff.
Yeah.
So you'd just do
Beach
that all over
warrior.
your skin.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But yeah, and it doesn't look all white. It's come a long way. Sunscreens have come a long way.
Okay.
Fortunately.
So
Especially
is that,
after that.
yeah,
Yeah.
is that something you have to look for, zinc?
Yeah, I think
whenever you
zinc's
look for
great.
this?
Yeah.
Okay.
And zinc's really good for the skin too.
Interesting. Interesting. So eat salmon and broccoli and blueberries.
Wear
and
sunscreen.
zinc-based
Yes.
sunscreen.
100%.
And it's weird because you think zinc sounds like a heavy metal.
Yeah.
And then you think
Yeah.
of like magnesium and things like this,
Mm-hmm.
and mercury, and all of these different things that are metals that I guess are vitamins that your body needs. Because I
Yeah.
take zinc and magnesium vitamins, but I don't take. But I'm not taking mercury.
Yeah.
And so
No,
I guess different metals have their different toxicities
Yeah.
and things like that.
definitely.
Interesting.
It
Alright.
is. It's a whole other world.
I'm learning
Yeah.
stuff. So, have you got any good stories from any adventures through the beauty cosmetics world
I have
Or
like too much.
in
Like-
business?
Like so much. Yeah, way too much. I think like the funniest ones are always like when you were first starting out, right? Because you're
Okay,
like
yeah.
the biggest cock ups you can make. I might just wait for this gentleman to walk past.
This is the perks we have of
I
filming live on the
totally,
street.
Like my first ever job, I got offered like a contracting opportunity. So it was actually a physio company that had physios, massage therapists, and then I was like a beauty sector part of it. Now I had like essentially no real life experience, but I loved grabbing the bull by the horn. So I was like, cool, this is so me. And I think like my third client was a Brazilian,
Okay.
and I got her like completely stuck together.
Oof.
Like complete, and it was just, and she was so great, and she's still my client to this day. Like she just laughed it off like a champ, but we had to get like scissors out and like
So it's not just
dissolve
their
us
legs
out
stuck
and
together.
no, like
No.
the two, yeah, just completely like, and it was like highly embarrassing, like the worst. And in fact, I kind of forgot about that story until like I think it was like 4 years ago. She brought it up again, and I thought, oh my god, that's right, I did that, you
Oh.
know. That was probably like the worst one. I don't know, business-wise, there've been so many things along the way. Like I can't particularly pinpoint anything that's that dramatic, but yeah.
What's one of the
there's a lot
biggest
like,
lessons you've learnt about business?
Try not to look like you're successful and just be successful.
I like it.
Like money is way better spent like investing back into it rather than like buying a new car.
Yeah, I subscribe.
And it's hard because you want to like feel that, especially if you're someone that's attracted to like that sort of claim of, you know, it's
yeah.
hard not to do that.
Driving the
but
new
it's
BMW.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I'd say that's the biggest, and it's funny because, well, it's not funny, but like a lot of businesses that may have like liquidated and stuff like that, like these girls like driving Range Rovers and, you know, and I'm like, if you kind of like gave that up
Yeah.
and then had like 70 to 100K to just like, can you imagine how much further that would have went? And then maybe you're in a Bentley. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like it's just one of those things like doing the hard yards, eh?
Yeah. And
yeah.
the cars especially, that's one of my personal sort of hates.
Oh,
Is the expensive. It's a depreciating asset. It
New
goes
Zealand
down in
has
value.
the biggest depreciating value in cars out of the entire world.
Really? I didn't
No
know
joke.
that.
I read it because I was looking at leasing a vehicle.
Oh.
Sorry, buying a house, blah, 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 blah. You know, I had to like tie up all loose ends. And so I thought maybe I'll lease a vehicle. And yeah, I read that. And I was like, yeah, that's actually really true.
Crazy. Yeah.
Because we are so attracted to like that image of like...
And I think, you know, we as a country, I may be wrong in this, but are very much influenced from what we see on the American side
I
of
was
the
just
world.
going to say, total Americanization.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. And so
Big trucks.
the TikTok
I love
warriors all in the fancy, you know, Lamborghinis and Ferraris, and they're all influencers or streamers and things like this. And then it makes normal people think like, oh, fuck, that's what I've got to do to be successful, and I'll drive around in a
100%.
Ferrari. But like you say, focus on being successful as opposed to looking successful.
Absolutely.
And a lot of those people, I think, look successful.
But
really,
what does it actually bring value-wise to anything apart from a massive bill each week?
yeah, exactly.
know, like-
Debt and interest.
And to be honest, like sometimes, I remember like there was a real estate agent that's all of a sudden bought a Mercedes G-Wagon. And I kind of felt like, you know, fucking what? You're not going to get my 2.5% when you sell my house.
Yeah, okay.
No way. You know what I mean? Like, it was a bit like, okay, do you really need any more money? Especially in a town that's smaller.
Very small. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So it can have a really negative effect too. That
Yeah.
whole image maintaining or like over gloating and a bit egotistical.
Totally. I don't know if you've ever heard of this dude, but I listen to his podcasts and a few of his different shows. His name's Dave Ramsey.
Oh
And-
yeah, I've seen him pop up.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
like a, you know, redneck sort of financial expert,
yeah?
and he's been doing it 30 years, and he's all about no debt
Yeah.
and save up, buy everything in cash, don't buy expensive shit. But they did a big study on who's a millionaire,
Oh yeah.
and teachers were like number 3 or 4 on the list of millionaires. And then the others were like engineers and accountants and things like this. And doctors, I don't think even made the top 5.
Wow.
And they talked about how teachers are very structured, and because they
Okay.
work as teachers, it's not a glamorous job, so there's no incentive for them to have glamorous vehicles. And that most millionaires that they studied
Yeah.
drove Mitsubishis and Toyotas.
Yeah.
And they would like, they'd have, you know, maybe a new Camry,
Yeah.
but they didn't need the BMW and the Mercedes-Benz,
Yeah.
because it was just an absolute waste of money.
Yeah.
And they were able to achieve it and not deal with the, I guess, the insecurities of not looking fancy enough,
Yeah.
because they were teaching, and it's not a very glamorous job anyway. But when you get into the real estate market and you get into the beauty
Yeah, it
market,
starts becoming-
it's all about beauty. and it's all about
Yeah.
looking successful. And I
Yeah.
think, particularly with real estate agents, I've got a few friends that are real estate agents. If they have a really nice car, it makes people that the clients that they're dealing with think that they're successful and they sell a lot of houses.
Yeah.
And so it's just a psychological trick,
Yeah.
almost. And so it's interesting to think that that also happens in the sort of beauty
Oh,
world.
100%.
Yeah. And
It's crazy.
so whenever you have your girls working for you and they're like, I'm checking out this new car, what's the advice you give them?
None of us actually do. I'm
Okay.
actually the one that they need to turn around and like, Z, do you really? And I'm like, no, okay, I don't. Yeah.
Help you control it.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, my one thing I probably have left to learn.
Okay.
No, I'm learning. I'm there.
Yeah,
But it's
yeah.
like hard to resist temptation.
And that's what it's just constant resistance,
And it is,
isn't it?
It is, yeah.
It's not like you're ever going to get over it.
No, I will have a Bentley. Well,
Is that the goal?
It's not now. Like, we're definitely not going to be like ticking that up or anything.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, don't borrow from the bank to buy a Bentley.
Exactly. Like, let's not be insane.
Yeah, one of the guys that works for us, he has like been learning how to drive, wants to get a car, and he was like, I was talking to some friends of mine, and they said I can go to bank and I can get a loan to buy a car, and I was just like, bro,
Worst thing you could ever do.
Don't fucking do
I
that.
honestly think it's like the worst thing you could ever do.
I was like, no doubt, one, you can't borrow enough money to buy a new car that's
Yeah.
going to have a warranty. The car that you do buy, 100% is going to cost you
Yeah.
something in repairs or tyres or rego, whatever it is. It's going to cost you money. And then you're probably going to sell it before you finish paying off the loan.
Yeah.
And you're going to keep chucking money at this car that you don't even have anymore.
Exactly.
And it's going to be a waste of time.
Yeah.
So, speaking of that, and I don't want to get too personal into finances, but where do you decide to put your money then, if you're not spending it? Is it save it and then reinvest in the business? Is it invest in real estate?
It's a bit of
What's
everything.
the
Like,
goal?
I finally got to a point this year where I could invest in real estate, but it's constantly putting back into the business. But then I think it's also like, I'm also at a certain point where like the business now of me working like face to face with people, like I've been doing this for like nearly 12 years.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, I don't see myself doing that for the foreseeable future, right? So, creating the whole distribution side of things as sort of like a plan B.
Yeah.
And then we're working on something really exciting in the background
Oh,
that I've
nice.
been doing for about a year.
Nice.
But yeah,
It's
a
all
lot
hush
of-
hush at the moment.
Yeah, and that's sort of like the long-term goal. But I think building a business where you have like a shop front and you're dealing and you have like these, it's hard. You know, like you have overheads that online companies don't have. You have to hit certain, you have staff wages that
Yeah.
like certain online places don't have. So I think the long-term goal is something a little bit more backseat and not so face-to-face. But everything I've learnt doing everything so face-to-face has made me able to do the next
Yeah.
step, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't.
Make
yeah.
some mistakes, learn some lessons, see what works and what doesn't.
Yeah.
And
So yeah, no, I think once you get to like that fifth year, that was the question, right? Once you get to that fifth year, everything does sort of flow a lot more naturally. You're not like investing in marketing so much anymore,
Yeah.
and you can actually start to reap some bigger rewards out of everything.
Yeah, nice. And then I think you've got established a bit of a footing in the
Yeah.
industry. You've got a reputation, you've got a client base that's always going to come back and things like that. So yeah, like you say, you don't have to invest
Yeah.
in marketing. You're not chasing that first dollar
Yeah.
constantly.
Yeah.
I think about the starting the bar society was hard, real
is
hard.
hard.
Yeah, and we're selling ice cubes,
Yeah.
and so.
There's literally that saying like selling ice cream is
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
It's
yeah, exactly.
comprising of how hard it is to do sales.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's fancy hard water.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
I
and
really like it though.
I'm glad
I
you
love
like
it. Yeah, I really like it.
It's always a good talking point, and you know, we're at like 4.5 years now,
Yeah.
and good client customer base. It's growing. The business is ticking over nicely, and is putting us in a position to be able to grow more and expand more throughout
Yeah,
the
that's
country and things like that.
exciting.
But fuck, I remember those first 6 months, and you're constantly thinking like, is this worth it?
Oh.
You're working like 60-hour
Yeah.
weeks. You're trying to learn a whole bunch of stuff. You're trying to get clients. You're also doing all of the work yourself. learning how to do
Yeah.
accounting software,
Yeah, that's
everything. Like, you don't know what's going on.
Yeah, totally.
And you really want advice from people, but
Yeah.
sometimes an accountant is too expensive to
Yeah.
access, or a lawyer for advice is too
Yeah.
expensive to access, and you've just got to, you don't know what you don't know, and
Yeah.
it's kind of trial by fire.
Yeah.
And now,
So true.
yeah, and now after being in it a few years, you learn some lessons.
Yeah, totally.
And then when the next business comes along, it's like, all right, we're not fucking doing that again.
Yeah.
But that thing
100%.
worked really well.
Yeah.
So we're going to keep doing that and double
Exactly.
down on it type thing.
Yeah.
And so I think it's quite cool having, the shop front sort of
Yeah.
style and the
Or
business
whatever,
that
like,
runs
that
through.
first sort of, like, journey is, eh? Like,
Yeah.
it teaches you a lot. If you're willing to, like, accept those lessons and, like, look in the mirror and be like, okay, I'm not fucking good at that.
Yeah.
And I don't have the money to hire someone to be good at that, so let's get good at that.
Yeah. Okay. And so it does give you a lot of drive to
Yeah.
just improve yourself.
Yeah.
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 And I think that's the most important thing. And there's also a lot of humility in that, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people get an ego and they don't want to admit when they're wrong, and
Yeah.
they don't want to admit when they fuck up.
Yeah.
Or, I've seen that in hospitality. A chef has too much of an ego and doesn't want to admit that they fucked up a
Don't they?
dish.
Some of them, though.
Same with bartenders.
I work in hospitality a little bit, so I know. But yeah.
I was my breadcrumb mojito moment when I made those first horrendous mojitos, and the customer was like, "They don't look right," and I was like, "What are you talking about?" Like, my
Did they
ego
have,
was
like,
massive.
floaties in them though? Or
Oh
what?
yeah, it looked disgusting. It was
But did you just say it was
brown.
like brown sugar like floating around?
I thought it
No.
was brown sugar, but it was breadcrumbs, and it didn't. I knew it didn't look right.
Yeah.
But I questioned myself
Yeah.
and thinking, like, had I just already had a mojito and maybe I was a bit drunk and I can't remember what it looked
Yeah, when
like.
did this actually fuck up?
Yeah, and I just couldn't figure it out until I read the bag. I was like, oh, breadcrumbs. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
definitely
Shit.
me. I fucking really
I love
ruined that
it.
one. And so, but yeah, having the ego, not wanting to admit when you're wrong, is, I think, what makes an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
a successful
Yeah.
entrepreneur, stand out from the rest of the crowd, is they're willing
Absolutely.
to constantly learn, go in with a curious mindset,
Yeah.
and things like that. I heard there's this negotiation dude that I listen to. His name's Chris Voss, and he used to be a FBI hostage negotiator.
Oh, yeah, that's so cool.
Amazing to listen to, and he gets really interested in the neurological science of how conversation impacts the brain, and his big thing that he pushes is curiosity. And so I'm gonna get the statistic number wrong, but it's in like the 30% range, between 30 to 34%. If you're in a positive mindset, you're 30 to 34% more intelligent,
Yeah, oh, I can believe
because
that.
you're open and you're willing to accept ideas and let information come in. Whereas if you're in a negative mindset and you're emotional, or you don't want to admit you're wrong and things like this, you shut down all of that curiosity,
Yeah.
so it doesn't let information in, so you don't learn from your mistakes as much, and you stagnate. And so when he talks about it from a negotiation standpoint, it's that if you're yelling and getting emotional with the person that you're trying to have a conversation with and negotiate with, you're both dumb. And so you have to find curiosity, and even if curiosity is like, why is this motherfucker such a retard?
Yeah.
At least be curious, because it makes you a little bit more positive to hear something that they're going to say.
Yeah, totally.
Like, find a way of being curious
Yeah, definitely.
and just drive it
Yeah.
forward.
Definitely.
And I think that's a massive thing in business.
Yeah,
You've just
I couldn't
gotta-
agree more. Yeah.
You got to keep it going. So what is one of the, we've talked about the being successful instead of looking successful. What's sort of one of the business lessons that you've learned about what is really important in running a business?
Finances are really important.
Okay.
Like
Finance is where
looking
it
after
struggles.
those. I don't know. I suppose like for me that was my biggest lesson. But also like your customers as well. There's so many pinpoints of it, right? And the people you surround yourself with, like they have to be on. You at least have to have some people that are on the same sort of bandwagon or doing something really similar to you, so
Yep.
you can have like that comparison of motivation and someone to throw things around with. And then you really need, which is hard to do, but get yourself into some sort of situations or groups where you have people that have almost done what you're doing,
Yeah.
so you can learn.
Yeah.
Like I said, like that whole business diploma thing, you know, it doesn't actually give you the things you need to, you know,
Yeah.
or things like this, like podcasts, and you know, me sitting here with you today, like how many things have we discussed that now we're just going to go away and be like, shit, that is so reinforced.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
yeah,
I can't wait to, you know,
For sure.
yeah,
And
what you're surrounding yourself with, eh?
Yeah. The line I like is, show me your friends and I'll show you your future.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so that's like the people you're hanging out with, the people that you're getting ideas from, the people you're floating ideas to.
Yeah,
If they're not doing anything with their life,
yeah,
they're not going to give you any advice
yeah.
to help you do
That's
something
it.
with your life.
That's exactly it. Or
And-
they'll be negative.
Yeah.
They could do the total opposite. I met someone the other day that's like launching their own sort of like body butters and stuff like that. Or they've been going for quite a while. And she sat there and talked about how like her brother, oh no, it wasn't her brother, he was really supportive. Someone else. Or her sister or something like that was really negative about everything she took. And I was just like, and that's hard as well when it's family.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people also like have parents that I don't think they're meaning to be negative, but they're like protecting you from like experiencing failure, you know, and being like, I don't think you should do that. Like, let's just stick with this.
Yeah.
You know, like I think that's one of the worst things people can do, and sort of like for people that are sort of trapped in that sort of cycle, like just break free from it and almost like educate them on like who gives a shit.
Yeah.
Like if I don't succeed at that, I mean, who freaking cares? Or like even a lot of people lately, there's been so many businesses liquidating and they disappear into thin air.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, where have you gone? Like, why are you not actually like sharing that story? Like, do you know how many people would listen right now because they're so interested in knowing what has just happened?
Totally. The
You know,
process
like,
of
it's
liquidation.
kind of like, yeah, exactly. So, yeah, it's one of those things, eh? Like, people are so afraid of failure, and the people around you that sort of like, you know,
Do you
make
think
it even more scary.
Yeah, do you think the negativity comes from jealousy? Like the person that's been
I say there are
negative.
a lot of people that are jealous, for sure.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
you know, they can't see themselves doing what you've talked about doing,
Yeah.
and so they're going to shut you down because they're governed by their own limitations.
100%. Yeah.
And so, yeah, I've always sort of thought about it like that way.
I don't know what it's like with guys, but it's like really bad with girls. Like,
I can,
big time.
yeah, I can imagine girls, you know, and I may be wrong in this, but compete with each other a lot.
A lot. Yeah.
And like, you know, girls in school, especially, I always
That was
remember
horrible.
like being a little catty and
I fucking
like,
hated school.
fuck you bitch.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. And it was a big like jelly. Yeah, it's just ridiculous. But I think it's everywhere.
Yeah.
I think even like some of the people closest to you can be like that, you know. But if you can like recognize that and sort of just like,
Yeah.
okay, we
yeah.
know where that's coming from. You know,
Exactly.
Like, yeah, then you don't exactly like cut people out of your life.
But yeah, I
Just-
think
yeah.
there's a lot of competition in the female side of the world, and I think there's a lot of competition in the male side as
can imagine
well,
there would
but
be.
it's more competitive.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to cut each other down, we're, pardon me, competitive and trying to beat each other.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so, like, this dude, oh, look at him with a fucking six-pack and shit like that. We don't talk shit about his six-pack.
Yeah.
We go to the gym
Like,
and work
"Motherfucker,
harder.
How did you get that?
Yeah. Like, look at me now, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Mr. Steal Your
Yeah.
Girl type thing, you know?
Yeah,
And
but
s-
that's what girls. I think girls are getting better at that.
Yeah,
I think they're
okay.
definitely getting better at that for sure. Yeah,
But yeah, I think jealousy plays a
jealousy
big
is a big
part.
part in it. Yeah.
And guys, I think, you know, there's different ways of dealing with the conflict as well.
yeah,
Guys, when it gets really, really bad, I mean, the ultimate epitome of it getting bad between guys is they have a fight.
yeah,
And they punch each other, and then they're kind of like, oh, well, fuck you one. Sweet.
Yeah.
And they get over it, and they move on with their life.
yeah.
Whereas, like, girls, you know, tell me if I'm
It's
wrong.
hostile.
But yeah, it goes on for ages.
Yeah, it
There's a
can.
grudge that gets held,
Yeah.
and there's bitching behind each other's back, and they're trying to destroy each other's reputation and things like
yeah,
this.
totally.
And so I can, you know, I don't know if this is just a misconception of my own ignorance and things like this, but that the beauty space has always been like, I can see a lot of cattiness go on
Yeah.
behind the scenes, because there's also, is it like, you know, and I'm really sorry if this ever sounds offensive at all, but like
You can't offend me. Go right.
there's a certain amount of like potentially shallowness because it's all about how we look type
Yeah.
thing, and the same with the car.
Yeah.
You know, buying the expensive car because it's how we look,
Yeah.
and how we look determines how we feel,
Yeah.
and type things, and so that women are more focused on the shallow
Yeah.
things, whereas guys are more focused on the competitive
I think
work
it definitely
type
goes
things.
both ways.
Yeah.
It definitely goes both ways. But I think, yeah, you're right. Shallowness is definitely an aspect of, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it causes a lot of issues. And when you
Yeah,
have a lot of
definitely.
girls that are really focused on beauty and things like this,
Yeah.
then you're exasperating the situation.
Yeah.
And so it's good that you can like start a beauty business and then have 2 or 3 girls working for you that all get along like a team.
Yeah.
And there's none of the cattiness and none of the
Oh,
bitching.
fuck, there always is a little bit. But it's like around that time of the month and everyone's just a bit like, get out of my way, you know?
Well,
But
true, that's something I didn't even think of.
it's a real thing.
I can
And then when
imagine.
you're all working together, it seems we're all like sync up and it's wild.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's fun. It's fun. It's fun. You know,
Yeah.
if the more vocal you are about just how you're feeling and you're not getting all hostile, like keeping it in and then being a bitch later, it's a lot better.
Yeah, and I guess the more pressure is on you as the boss.
Yeah,
You're the
that's
one that
all
has
it
to
is,
hold
like,
it in more.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you offend one of them and they're like, well, I'm out of here.
Oh, you know what? I've sort of gone into a point where, like, if someone's got something wrong with it, I'm like, what is the issue? Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck's up with you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And if they don't want to say, I'm like, yeah, take the day off, whatever. You know, it's much more better than having, like, an ice cube in the...
Yeah,
Everyone's
exactly.
sort of, like, eggshells. Yeah,
Yeah.
So,
The energy
yeah, and it's
exudes
normally,
off them.
like, resolved pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Most of the time, you just need a margarita.
Well, exactly.
Yeah, like,
exactly.
no joke. Most of the time, you just need, like, a little hour with everybody having a mug.
Yeah.
And
Talk
then
some shit,
everything's
have a
fine.
laugh.
Yeah,
Yeah, love it.
yeah. definitely
Alrighty.
is it.
So, we tend to always finish on a breadcrumb mojito moment.
Mm.
And so, you've already told us about the waxing and gluing someone together.
Yeah.
Do you have any other breadcrumb mojito moments?
Like, honestly, I can't really think of, like,
You haven't taken a whole eyebrow off by accident?
no, I've honestly, like, never ever done anything like that. Okay.
Or
my
biggest
talk from,
business
like,
blunder?
okay, like, something like from a real unprofessional perspective. We'll just wait for this general talk first. I remember, like, okay, first getting my shop, you know, like, super excited. I'm like, holy shit, like, look at me, you know, I'm doing this and that. And so I decided to, like, invite a whole bunch of friends over to my shop and have, like, a party.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I've still got the same shop that I do now that I did 7 years ago, right?
Okay.
And the windows are tinted, but then obviously at night time you can see in, but you can't see out.
Okay.
And this party got like super explicit, and I remember getting like a message from one of my clients the very next day saying everything they had seen and just feeling like the most dire of shame I have ever felt in my life. And yeah.
Did that
I
client
was
come
not,
back?
I was not involved in any of this explicitness,
Okay.
obviously. But yeah, so that was like super funny. I don't think it went anywhere. I'm actually really surprised. I don't seem to ever be one of those people that get like really bad things said about them. So that's cool.
Okay. Well, that's nice.
Yeah, I think just like take it on the chin and be like, oh fuck yeah, that was wild. Sorry you had to see that. You know, like you know,
When
who
girls
cares?
get drunk.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I don't know, like apart from that, yeah, I've probably just like made some really like foolish decisions, you know? And that's about it, yeah.
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 Marvelous.
Yeah. Nothing
Awesome.
Too crazy.
Well, thank you very much for your
Thank
time.
you.
It's good
That
having
was
a drink
so
with you.
fun. Yeah,
And there you go.
totally. I've drunk all of mine like halfway through. I've got ice left.
Perfect.
That
Love
was
it.
so cool.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, you're